Hey friends out there, Robert Hamm here with Robert Hamm Photography. Today we're going to be going over another video for the TL70. This is a reference image set for the TL70 on an overcast day down at the beach. If you want to see the actual video about this, where you can get a better idea for the lighting situations and where all the pictures came from and what was going on at the time that the pictures were taken, just head over and check out my YouTube if you're watching on Instagram, or just check out the links down below. You'll find it right there. The title of the video is TL70 Reference Image Set, Pictures at the Pier. Very simple, really cool. So go check that out. And of course, if you're used to shooting film, you can know a little bit about the Overcast 8 rule, right? It's kind of like the Sunny 16. It's just you start at f8 instead of f16. And that's the kind of a lighting environment that we were shooting in today. An overcast day where f8 would have been the great starting point. And you know there's some tricky parts about shooting in overcast lighting. Number one is the color shift with daylight balance film. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit in the video, but for the too long, didn't read, the overcast day provides a different color temperature than the 5600 that the film is rated for and balanced for. I mean, actually it provides a slightly bluer color temperature, also with the lower contrast as well as the less bright conditions, means that the film's reciprocity shifts the color quite a bit. So you get these moody, really cold looking images. But there is some help. If we wait for light to pop through, if we wait for the sun to pop through the shadows of the clouds, then we can actually get some really cool shots, and you're going to see that next. Guys, I'm excited to bring this reference set to you. Please enjoy. So jumping right into this, there are actually three sets of images I want to share with you today, and these images are important because we're talking about, of course, the TL70 right here by Mint Camera, you know, this beautiful thing. And we're also talking about the lens kit that you can get. And I want to share with you the different ideas of how these things actually work together. Now, today I went to the beach. You guys can see that video. It's posted up there. And I want you to notice some very important things. We'll make these go a little bit differently. Notice when I got there, I was shooting without the actual lens at f5.6 with negative exposure compensation. Okay? And check that out, you know, completely blown out. Okay, now this was a really overcast day, and we're in indirect shade because there was actually no sunlight coming through right now. There was completely silver lit clouds, you know, and you'll see in some of these images what happens. Keeping that similar, I then moved to 5.6 plus flash with the neutral density filter and negative exposure compensation. Okay, and so that's helpful, right? But it doesn't really get us to where we want. This isn't really a great, I mean, look, you can see the overcloud in the background, and you can see that here we're definitely bright enough to be completely blown out. The ND8 helped quite a bit, but we're still not where we want to be. So continuing this set of images, I took another one, and this one was all I did for this image between these two was wait. Okay, notice we're still underneath the dark shade of the pier. I waited from indirect shade to where the actual sun came through. So this was one moment, one few seconds in time where the sun peeked through, and look what it does. Look at the difference that it makes. Now, if we actually change that, we really want to get some more. We can actually bring this next picture up and look at that. Now look at the difference. Now I've actually opened up to 5.6. The settings are pretty much the same. We've seen the entire shot straight through, but look what happens to the sky. Sky is much better. Obviously, the sun is hitting my subject from the front. I'm lighting it up with flash using negative exposure compensation and an ND8, and I'm still able to get this beautiful warm color tone in the picture. But you can see just how moody it is in the background because it's actually a pretty rough little day out there. So once again, this first set of images we're looking at right here from left to right, you know, and then as we make our adjustments. Okay, so what you have to understand is that this was a very overcast day, okay? There were clouds. The sky lied to me. I thought it was going to be pretty out. I left. By the time I got to the beach, it was nasty. Here we go again. This is f8, negative exposure compensation. Okay, boom. It's bright enough that that overcast day is still blowing out the image, but not completely. However, when you use f8 plus flash and negative exposure compensation with an ND8, this is what we get. And look, there's a little bit of a color shift with this dark, moody kind of day with the ND8. Now, if we compare these two, these are all taken in very similar settings. That's what I'm trying to show you here, why that's so important. Our next picture right here is f8, once again, with flash, exposure compensation, and the ND8. Look, now this is better. All I did between this picture and this picture, other than rearrange my boys, was wait. I waited from the indirect shade from the cloud. The clouds were out, not allowing any rays of sun. The sun was completely blocked. And then I just waited for one moment to take a picture right when the sun came out. Look at that. Partly sunny. The rays of sun hit them. So the number one takeaway that we're taking here is that, guys, remember, you have to have good quality of light when you're taking photos. Look at the background. Look at this. It's still a really nasty looking day. Now, I like this image a lot, but I like it a lot better when I did something like this. Now, here, we just changed direction. We just changed so that the light was able to hit them a little bit more broadside, as you can see. And I took this dark background out of the background and I put the sky in the background. So I just turned around 180 degrees. And look what happens, okay? Partly sunny, I still waited, plus I opened up to 5.6. So I'm still getting the great sky, and I know you may not be able to see it too terribly well just because of the camera that we're recording on, but I got a much better image right there and was still able to preserve some of that nice bright yellow, that beautiful yellow in the light that makes it look good. However, in this kind of a lighting condition with these clouds like that, you're going to get some color shift using any ND filter with any camera, so be prepared. Okay, here's our final lighting situation we're going to talk about. Check this out. Once again, there we go. Smile. This is now at f16 with negative exposure compensation. Okay, compare that to f16 with flash with negative exposure compensation and an ND8. Check that out. Okay, look at the difference in there. Okay, the flash helps quite a bit. The ND8 helps quite a bit with the exposure. They would all be completely dark, just like this is right here, were it not for that flash. That's why you use flash. Look how much flash is actually helping the picture right here. If not, these guys would look just like that. You'd have a complete silhouette. Now let's continue on again and compare. Once again, same area, f16, we've just gone to f8, negative exposure compensation, or positive exposure compensation now, plus the ND8. Check that out. So look at how much more you get when you move from f16 to f8 and you use the positive exposure compensation. Now we're talking. And then once again, we're going to open it up to 5.6. Oh, that's the wrong one. 5.6 right here. And all I did was wait once again for both of these until the sun was out a little bit nicer. Okay? And once again, 5.6, the same settings as that one. That's all we did. All right, so let's put this all together one kind of another way. You can look at these images many different ways, but I'm going to look at them. There we go. I want to show you this. I just want to show you without any neutral density filter what these things are doing. And I know I got another picture around here. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. Here we go. Sorry for that, guys. Okay, so, all right. F16, negative exposure compensation on an overcast day when there's no sun coming from behind the clouds, there's no shadows, it is indirect shade. Look at that. That's F16. Okay, look at F8. Negative exposure compensation, the exact same situation, and then look at F5.6. Okay, so I wanted you to see these, wanted you to see how these things were coming in. Okay. Now you might say to yourself, man, F8 and F16 look very similar, and I'd agree. You see, because in an aperture priority camera, changing the aperture just resets the time value for the shutter, which means that all of these images had roughly equal exposures, except for this one. It may have been just a little bit darker. And that is normal because it should be that way. On an aperture priority camera, if you choose a bigger aperture, then it should choose one stop smaller of a shutter. So if you choose another stop bigger of an aperture, it'll choose again another stop smaller of a shutter. And that's exactly what you're doing. That's why these tonal values look the same. So once again, the only way to really affect any kind of imagery is to use your exposure compensation and the neutral density sliders, right? Let's get another one right here. Where's F5.6? Where are they? Oh yeah, right, this one and then this one. Look at these guys. These guys came out great. And what are we seeing? Where all of these are at F5.6. They're all with flash. They're all with positive exposure compensation, and they're all with the ND8. You may not be able to see them great, but check that out. All right, how cool is that? Hey friends, I am back. I hope you had a good time with the video. Let's just kind of summarize a couple things. Number one, whenever you can with instant film, shoot in bright daylight. That's what it's balanced for. That's what it's made to look the best for, and that's what you're going to get the best results with. You notice that when we waited for the sun to poke through, all of the images looked the best. Even at f8, we were able to get the best depth, the best color, the best detail. The whole thing looked great. We also noticed that using flash helped quite a bit. So if we're out there and we're shooting using flash, works very well. We want to use flash in the daylight because we've got a camera with a leaf shutter. Why not? Our flash can sync with the synchronization speed at 1/500th of a second with the camera, and that can fill in great detail because it can get rid of shadows that otherwise would just leave the black blobs. So that's really good. Just be careful not to photograph a reflective surface, or else you're going to get some flashback in there. And if your flash is too powerful when your subject's too close, you got to keep that in mind as well. Check out my video, Understanding Your Flash and Your Camera's Metering System, for more information on that. Finally, we looked at one other very important thing, and maybe we didn't talk about it enough during the video, but there's a lot to talk about when you get into lighting design, and we weren't really trying to cover lighting design in this video. We were really just trying to cover lighting situations. But I'll share it with you if you didn't pick up on it already, and I'm sure most of you did. What happens when you put the neutral density filter on the camera and use it in the shade? Well, color shift, that's what happens. You can use the flash in order to keep the color shift from being too drastic, but the neutral density filter, especially something like a 3-stop ND filter, when shot in conditions like this, is going to tend to pull the color towards the cooler side, the blue side, and that makes a lot of sense. If you look at it, it's a blue piece of glass, really, or a grayish kind of piece of glass. When do we not see color shift with the neutral density filter? And that's when we see beautiful bright orange light from the sun, and that yellow light helps keep the ND filter from showing any color shift artifacts. In fact, the light is so bright at that point in time that the ND filter does its job very well. So, point of rule there is don't use neutral density filters in the shade. Expect color shift if you do. So, there we go. Those are the tips. That's the lighting reference video. I hope you guys find it helpful next time you're out and about and you encounter a tricky lighting situation like an overcast day at the beach or something like that. You'll have a little bit better understanding of how to get the best results. Guys, I'm Robert Hamm. I want to thank you for watching, but I want to remind you that if you're only watching here, you're only getting half the story. You can go see all of these images right now over on Instagram at RobHammPhoto. Just follow me over there. Makes your life a lot easier. And don't forget, it's free, so you get what you pay for, right? I cracked myself up. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching and remind you that I will catch you on the flip side.